What's up everyone and welcome back to the neighborhood. My name is Andrew Kimball and in this video, I'm going to recommend some games I think you should try if you have Game Pass. Whether you are someone who just got an Xbox, just subscribed to Game Pass, or just someone who hasn't really explored the catalog of games very much, I wanted to take a few minutes to recommend some games that are available on Game Pass, at least at the time of making this video, and share them with you. Obviously, everyone has different preferences when it comes to games, so feel free to share your recommendations in the comments. And if you want me to make more videos of games I'd recommend, also let me know in the comments. This list isn't ranked in any particular order, but I am going to talk about 5 games, so let's dive in. Gears 5. While I think all of the Gears of War games are worth playing, Gears 5 is the most recent and a great place to start if you want to see what the series has to offer. If you enjoy it, you can definitely go back and play the other games as well. They're all on Game Pass. Gears 5 is a third-person shooter where you take on hordes of enemies using various over-the-top weapons. Along with that is a story and cast of characters that have way more depth and heart than you're probably expecting based on the cover art of the game. Gears of War perfected the third-person cover shooting gameplay and is 100% worth trying out if you have Game Pass. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is an action-adventure game set in a dark fantasy world inspired by Norse mythology and Celtic culture. The game follows Senua, a picked warrior who must make her way to Helheim by defeating otherworldly entities and facing their challenges, in order to rescue the soul of her dead lover from the goddess Hela. The game blends different gameplay mechanics and concepts like puzzle solving, psychological horror, and action-focused melee combat. The game's narrative serves as a metaphor for the character's struggle with psychosis, as Senua, who suffers from the condition but believes it to be a curse, is haunted by an entity known as the Darkness, voices in her head known as Furies, and memories of her past. To properly represent psychosis, the developers worked closely with neuroscientists, mental health specialists, and people living with the condition. The game is on the shorter side, which is probably a good thing considering how heavy the subject matter is. The combat is simple but satisfying, and the puzzles will make you think but won't impede your progress through the story, which is the main reason to play this game. With the sequel on the horizon, now is the perfect time to try this game if you haven't yet. It Takes Two. It's time to grab a friend or partner and help salvage the marriage of two people that have been turned into little dolls. The strength of It Takes Two is also the thing that could prevent someone from playing it. It requires 2 players at all times. But if you have someone to play this game with, it is a fantastic experience. Each level uses a new gimmick or set of abilities, and this keeps the gameplay fresh. No one section overstays its welcome. The platforming is tight and responsive, and the ways in which the players have to interact with each other and the world to solve puzzles is satisfying and rewarding. The story of It Takes Two isn't all that special, but it's not the reason to play the game. There are also some pretty unlikable and obnoxious characters, but once you finish or skip the cutscenes and get to the gameplay, they're easily forgotten. So grab a friend, they don't have to be an expert gamer, and give this game a shot. I think you'll have a good time. Dead Cells. Dead Cells is one of my favorite action games and one of my favorite indie games. I reviewed it on our channel if you're interested in checking that out. The 2D action gameplay is fast, flashy, and satisfying. The roguelike loop keeps things fresh as no 2 runs are exactly alike. The difficulty can ramp up pretty significantly in the later levels, but the game has a variety of options available to tweak your experience to make it play how you want it to. While it isn't included on Game Pass to the best of my knowledge, the DLC for Dead Cells is fantastic, especially the Castlevania crossover. So if you try the game and enjoy it as much as I do, there's a lot more content for you to explore. While I typically like to play 2D games like this on a handheld device like the Switch, you can't beat Game Pass if you just want to give it a shot, which I highly recommend that you do. Assassin's Creed Origins. Origins is my favorite Assassin's Creed game, and it's also just a really great game. If you're worried about playing a game that's this late in the series, don't be. The story of this game is based around the creation of the Assassin's Order, so you're technically jumping in at the beginning. Assassin's Creed Origins marked a major departure in gameplay from the previous Assassin's Creed games, but it isn't as RPG heavy as the games that would follow. I think it found a nice balance between an open world action game and an Assassin's Creed game. Along with the gameplay, the characters and stories of Assassin's Creed Origins are some of the best that Ubisoft has ever created. This is a recommendation video, so I'm not going to dive deep into the story or lore, but I will say that Bayek is my favorite protagonist in the series, aside from Ezio. The final thing that makes this game unique and worth checking out is the setting. I'm a sucker for the Egyptian setting, and I don't think we see it enough in games, and Origins does it extremely well. If any of this has piqued your interest, go give this game a shot. So there's 5 games I recommend if you have Game Pass. I have plenty more I can make future videos about, so if that sounds interesting, let me know in the comments. Also, feel free to share some of your recommendations too. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button. If you want to hear more in-depth conversations about video games, check out our podcast. With all that, I'll leave you with a reminder to stay friendly, gamers.